I'll go there.
What is going on, everybody? This is Dope Comics. I'm your idiot leader, Dope, and I'm with some of my favorite people on YouTube. We got Eric from SideQuest Comics. We got Nate from Hall Yeah Comics, and we got Hagen. What's going on, Hagen, at Lettuce Comics?
Doing all right. How are y'all?
Pretty good. I just want to talk to y'all, and what better time at the end of the year to talk to people and figure out what is the best and what is the worst of the year. It's easy content, and it's my favorite thing to talk about, comic books. So,
I love it.
Yeah. Yep. So, everybody doing all right?
Hectic day. You know, it's the crunch time before Christmas. So it's like I was frantically wrapping stuff today and trying to wrap my son's gift without him seeing it because he's like going up and down stairs, up and down, doing this, doing that. And it's like, so yeah, one of those days.
Yeah, Nate's been wanting to talk Plastic Man 4, but I ain't had a chance to read it because I've had so many parties and get-togethers and finger foods and all that kind of stuff, and I'm definitely ready to read it. So
yeah. My last day of work teaching was Friday, and then which was an unbelievably hectic day. And then this weekend we've been doing parties and family things. So like my break officially starts tomorrow. I'm gonna feel like I've got a little bit of time. So that's exciting. So yeah, that's what's been going on with me.
Well, sounds good to me. So I guess we should just hit the categories and just start talking about the categories. I thought it was a good year for DC. I really like James Gunn. I like everything he's doing. Anybody got a favorite DC book of the year?
I do. You know, I do. And I'm gonna start with the obvious. I mean, I'm not going. It's not everybody's obvious, but it is mine. And I'm gonna say Plastic Man No More is my DC pick of the year, because it hits all the boxes for me. There we go. It's a CD-list character. It is a 4-issue mini. Like, how often do you get a good 4 issues? You know, they always stretch it to 6. So they weren't trying to get my money with it. The art is great. The story it's just so good. There's a lot of levels to it. It's about parenthood. It's about, speaking of Christmas, it's kind of a Christmas Carol-ish story where he's fighting his own ghosts of who he is and thinking about his future. So there's kind of, there's that element. I just loved it. It was my favorite thing that they put out this year.
I never thought I'd read a Plastic Man book. Plastic Man just sounds so stupid. But it's such a good story. You could put any character in there and it'd been great because it's just about a deadbeat dad that basically he has cancer. He has something wrong with his cells and he's falling apart and he's dwindling down to nothing. And his son, which is a Plastic Man too, is got the same genes and he ain't been around in 18 years and his son don't care nothing for him. And I feel bad for the guy because, I mean, he goes to work and his coworkers laugh at him. He's a loser.
They don't just laugh at him. They do. They just like everything that he says is a sidebar. They treat him with zero seriousness. Even though, like, I mean, they show in the stories that he is really taking the brunt of some of their battles. They're like, hey, you're made of plastic. Go stand in front of that thing and get shot because it won't kill you. and he does it, because Superman told him to. It's
and I could see a real person. I mean, it's cancer's everywhere and stuff. And I could see a real person just feeling that way at work, feeling like a loser at work, coming home to an empty house.
And then you have regret,
don't want nothing to do with him.
He has regret from, because, he doesn't look at it until this drastic thing's happening.
Right.
And he has regret. I have to read this. I've had a hard time finding it in my store. It usually sells out so fast. So I'm going to have to go back and find it, track it down.
Yeah. All he cared about was his career, basically. And now he's, whenever, when something happens, like you find out you got cancer too, I would imagine that the things that matter all of a sudden in life is, health, family, religion, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I've been out here fighting crime this whole time and I should have been trying to be a better dad.
Right.
And, then he goes out and he just screws up more stuff. So
that's what I was gonna say. Like, even the way it feels like Breaking Bad in that way. Like, even when he's trying to do good things, he does it in such a in a way that's just not the best. But he never stops being who he is at his core. And I don't know. I really liked it. Dope. I can't wait for you to read the 4th issue so we can just talk about the whole story. And I'm not gonna, give any spoilers or anything. It was a great mini.
If they would have used like Superman instead of Plastic Man, it would have been huge.
Right.
If he had to try to go back to his son and say, I'm sorry, I've been trying to save the world for the last 18 years and I've, not showed you any attention and you want nothing to do with me and all this kind of crap. But the fact that they use Plastic Man is just a sidebar. It's really just a good story.
It really is. And this writer here, Christopher Cantwell, he's written a lot of stuff for Star Trek, but I did notice that on the All In DC's new relaunch, he's doing what are they called? Challengers of the Unknown, which is a book.
Came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it just came out. I went ahead and picked it up because DC's done those #1s all at $3.99. And so I grabbed it. Was pretty good too. I don't know that it's going to be this good because I just don't know about some of those new All In titles, but I will say like DC has had a really good year. This All In launch, like after Absolute Power, has been so much better than I would have thought. Like Absolute Power, well, I didn't read any of it. I didn't care.
I can actually say, yes, they did have a good year when I don't consider myself a DC guy, but I know a general knowledge. I grew up with it. But as a buyer, I don't think I've bought a DC book since the 90s. And some of the stuff they've done this year has perked my interest. So,
yeah.
And another thing about yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. There was something else I was going to tell you about Plastic Man, but who knows? I'm sure. Oh, yeah. It reads all 4 issues. I'm sure the last one does too. I haven't read it yet, but the first 3, and I'm sure the 4th one ends with a cliffhanger, and it makes you want to read the next one. There's so many books today that read like a trade, and the ending of it's just nothing. It makes you want to go out and get the next copy.
Yeah.
So, but this reads like a comic book. Every issue, something happens at the end, making you want to pick up the next one. So,
yeah, Christopher Cantwell, the writer, does a really good job of formatting for the comic book. Like you said, he tells a complete story, but leaves you with, I want to know what comes next. And even though it does have a very satisfying ending, I would say he ends that way as well. Like he wraps everything up, but he leaves it in a place where you're like, oh man, this could be, there could be more. And you want to hear it from him. He doesn't overdo it.
It made me go to my LCS and get some old Plastic Man to read it, and wow. I found out it wasn't worth a shit. But anyway,
no, it's not the same.
It's what I thought it was. But anyway, it made me interested in Plastic Man so it did its job, I guess.
Anyone else have a DC book? I wanted to hear what other people brought too.
Eric, do you want to go first, or do you?
I'll go first. Yeah,
go for it.
All right, so I mentioned some of the stuff DC has been doing this year got me perked in, and one of those series is still going on right now is the DC versus Vampire World War V. Originally, this was written by Tinian, I believe. So, like this one came out, I started reading it, and I remembered, I got a trade of the original. So I actually went back and read the original. And have been tracking down the original, and I ended up getting both in like the hardcover trades that they do. And then this one, still going, 12-issue series, I believe. I think they're on 6 right now. This one, anything that's like an alternate world type of thing. Oh yeah,
anything that's shiny.
Yeah, shiny. I like these alternate world things that it does not just DC, but Marvel does it a lot of times too. I find it interesting. It's kind of a flip of the coin. And like in this series, Barbara Gordon is like the head vampire, and she is just brutal. She is brutal, doesn't care. She's going to, eat the humans up right away and just be like, okay, nice little snack. It's interesting take on characters that we know, but if they're vampires, it's like, man, do they just turn that evil up? So it's interesting take. And the other one they have is that Elseworlds. What is it? They're doing
the Deathstroke.
Yeah, Deathstroke.
It's like a Conan.
Yeah. So I like those Elseworlds that they do. So that was my top DC pick.
Cool.
Like I said, it's only halfway through. It's one of the series that I started getting this year back into DC amongst like Green Lantern. I've been a fan of his. You mentioned the All In. They're kind of bringing back more characters that aren't like the Trinity, which I'm excited about. So
Right.
Aquaman's getting a new series next month, so I'm jazzed about that. And
It just it feels like they are really going into their bigger universe, and I almost picked. It's just that there've only been one issue so far, but the new Justice League. Where
I
it's
thought
Justice
about that
League-
too, Nate. I really did, because
I mean,
it felt
yeah.
like, it reminded me of Justice League Europe a little bit. It was just kind of, the stories were very contained.
Mhm.
And like with the new Justice League, they're going to start showing us more of the superheroes, which is interesting to me. So
I love we have this emergency. Here's the 5 heroes we think are best suited for this emergency. So you guys get boom tubed to it. And so you get, even within that first issue, you got some weird, Firestorm was back, Airwave. Like it was,
oh man,
there was some weird stuff, man.
Yeah.
I am excited. And like I said, Challengers of the Unknown, like you said, Aquaman, Metamorpho's got a book coming this month.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be a DC fan. Finally,
I got Metamorpho in my full box, and then also, instead of Absolute Aquaman, I wish they had an Absolute Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
I mean, with them relaunching, Vertigo and stuff, maybe they'll do something with him over there, because he's always been over there at the.
You need Swamp Thing, and you need Sandman back on Vertigo.
Yeah.
Maybe Constantine.
There is a Hellblazer something going on right now.
Yeah, I think it was the Black Label, if I remember right,
Maybe.
is what they were putting it under. So
yeah, I would love to see a new Swamp Thing series, as long as they get like a great writer. And he doesn't have to be like a known writer. I don't care about that, but
good stories.
The stories have to be great, because I got into Swamp Thing this year because of picking up in a book that I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, he's just so fascinating, and I didn't know anything about him before I started reading the run that I read, the definitive run of Swamp Thing. And yeah, to me, it doesn't matter if people don't know about him. If the stories are good, then that's going to be the thing that leads people in. So they do have to pick the right writer, but I would love to see another Swamp Thing series for sure.
Yeah, I can't believe they don't have an ongoing series of Swamp Thing.
It's been since New 52, I think, is the last time they did a Swamp Thing series, other than one-shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And, a lot of those, since they are getting into the expanded universe of DC a little bit, maybe we'll see some more of those characters. It just is... We just talked about this, how expensive books are. So like you can only put out so many books, so many new books that you can expect people to add to the ones they're already getting.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Swamp Thing can be in that horror genre, which they've been known for since the 70s, and they really ain't putting out anything like that now.
No, they do need to do. I think DC, and they're trying. They've got their DC horror anthology, which I hate, but I like the effort. But they do need to get into that, the magic users and the horror side of things, like, Phantom Stranger. I know they just did a Zatanna mini, but anyone from that Justice League Dark, stable Deadman would be great to bring in. I mean, I think they brought Deadman in on the Christmas thing that's going on right now, the Silent Night. But again, like I don't know, that it wasn't great. and I just want to see some of those guys do their, get their own story or their own pocket of the universe. And Vertigo would be the best place for those guys.
Bring back Ragman.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What you got, Hagen?
Well, so I was talking with you guys a little bit before we went live, as I was running around here frantically trying to find stuff that fit the category, because I bought a ton of stuff in 2024, but I don't really buy new books. So I was trying to think of stuff that worked, and I'm gonna bend the rules slightly. So this isn't a series that started in 2024. It started at the end of 2023. I did pick a book that came out in 24 of that series, but my favorite thing that I read new from DC this year was this. This is Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Okay,
that was a fun series.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's a team up of the heroes and of the villains, so you get to see a bunch of different characters. And me not being a DC guy, it wasn't too much, like Gorilla Grodd's there. Who is he? In a panel, I can see he's a gorilla with psychic powers. And then that's all that I need to know. And it was very much stuff like that, where it's sort of like the first issue, here you go, here's what's going on, there's Godzilla. And like it just sort of goes off from there. And so it's an easy concept to like get your head around. And it's just dumb fun. Like it's just a blockbuster movie of a miniseries. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. But
I ended up tracking down. I think they had some variant covers of #1 that when you open it, it roars like Godzilla or King Kong.
Yes.
It's so cheesy. I was like, I gotta have this.
Did you find one of those? Because I never saw one.
No, I didn't.
Nate?
Oh, did you find one of those? One of the roar covers? Oh, see, I wanted one, but I wasn't gonna pay a YouTube eBay premium for it.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey. I luckily got them when the store got them, but they went so quick. I was there at the right time, and so I got it for cover price. But yeah, if I didn't get them, holy cow!
Right? Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Jabs on here is reading the Absolutes lately. Do any of y'all reading the Absolutes?
The only one I've stuck with is Batman, and I know you
seems like the best.
I know you love it, Dope, but
it still seems like the best of the three.
It is.
And I didn't like it, but I still think it's the best of the three.
Now, that said, I did like Wonder Woman, but again, with prices, is not enough for me to stick with something. Like I really have to want to read it month to month. Otherwise, I'm going to find it in a trade at the library for free later. I'm still going to read it.
I think we talked about it. He's like 7 foot tall, Brock Lesnar size, and nobody knows he's the Batman. And he's just out there working in the fields.
Yeah.
Dude, in the last issue, he's driving like the dump truck that they use at pit mining. Like he hit it inside. It's the stupidest thing I've ever read, and I don't care. Like, well, it's like what Hagen just said about Justice League and Kong and all that. Like, I don't need it to be the best written thing I've ever read. I need to have fun when I read it. Yeah. And so far, Absolute Batman, I have had fun reading it. And part of that is because exactly what you said. How does no one know that the only 8 foot tall guy walking down the street is the 8 foot guy in the Batman costume?
Yeah, so I ended up liking the Wonder Woman one mainly because the artwork. I love that artwork that's in that.
It's beautiful. It's great artwork, and she has the big stupid sword, and I love the big stupid sword.
Mm-hmm.
So
talking about something that you guys both just said is sometimes like I don't need pathos from everything. I don't need like Academy Award or Pulitzer Prize winning writing from everything. It's like I have a philosophy when I'm collecting comic books, and Nate, I know that you agree with me on this. Sometimes it's really, really good to have a very nice, well-cooked, well-seasoned steak with the right accoutrement and, a wine pairing and valet parking and all that. But sometimes I just want a bag of fucking Skittles, and like there's nothing wrong with comic books that are just a bag of fucking Skittles,
There's no.
That's a good comparison. Sometimes I just need that needs to be put on a shirt. Sometimes I just need a fucking bag of Skittles.
I think I set the bar too high for me because I heard about Absolute and I was like, okay, it's a brand new start. But I was thinking it was going to have brand new characters in it. I mean, they kind of do, but they're still got the same names. I thought we was going to have brand new characters, brand new bad guys. I thought maybe he would kill people now.
Well, there are two Batman stacked one on top of the other, so that's close, right?
I don't know. I have a problem with Absolute, and that's that even though I feel like DC is doing a good job, I don't need 2 ongoing universes. I feel the same way with Ultimate at Marvel. Like I just want a I want a good version of the characters that I like, and I don't need another ongoing universe. If you're going to do that, do a good Elseworld story. Like you said, Eric, I enjoy them as well. I want different takes, but oh my God, now I got to keep up with the Ultimate Universe, the Absolute Universe, the 616 universe, and whatever it is DC's doing right now, because they relaunch every 4 years.
Yeah. Like Batman, Batman the last 3 or 4 months has came out with like 4 or 5 ones. Number ones. It could be Batman and Robin. It could be, they got this long Halloween series thing going on or whatever. They got a black and white. They got all kinds of weird stuff.
And
Gotham by Gaslight.
And I think that's one of the things that turned me off from DC. Nate, is I know you love DC, but I hate this relaunching. I hate that there's 10 Batmans. Just give me one good one. I don't need 10.
I'm with you.
They have to fund their Christmas bonuses somehow, and number ones spike sales. That's just how it is.
And Batman makes them money. Like, they're going to make new Batman minis. There's going to be 4 or 5 going on. They're going to hit every nostalgia group they can with Batman. And they don't do that with Superman. It's like at my LCS, Batman has 3 panels on the wall to his, basically to himself, of just all these different Batman books. Superman barely fits on half of one. You know what I mean? Like but I'm okay with it because I don't buy them all. I grab the ones I want to. This year I got a couple that'll come up in my honorable mentions, but I don't know. Like, I feel like their ongoings have been really good. I think Absolute has been really successful, and it's not for me, and it doesn't have to be. And I'm going to stick with Batman until I don't like it. I might go back to, like, I have the hope. And I know, Eric, you do this. So, like, go to Half Price Books, right? And the book that was $5 on the wall, you'll find for $2 at Half Price Books. So I'm hoping to find some of the Absolute Wonder Womans that I haven't picked up,
Well, they're printing enough of them, so I'm sure you'll find them.
I know. I do that with a lot of these books. So it's like, I'm not getting this now, but I'll see it later at a sale. And then I don't have a problem picking it up.
The problem I have is if I read a good Red Hood, or if I'm reading a good Suicide Squad, Batman always appears in those too.
Yeah.
I just want to read a Red Hood story or something.
Right.
So.
It wasn't true recently, but I feel like Nightwing did a really good job of being a book about and for Dick Grayson. Batman was always there in the background, but he was never a character. His brothers came in quite a bit. And, the Bat family was there, but Bruce wasn't. And I think that was smart on the part of the writer. I haven't read the last arc because that's another one that I trade weight, but I think Batman did. I think Bruce came in pretty heavy. But yeah, I'm with you. But again, they're doing what they can to make money. And if that gets me more Plastic Man, I'm all for it.
All right. What about best Marvel?
Okay, let me go first because I'm going to suck at this. Everything. This is the only Marvel that and Eric's going to laugh at me. This is the only Marvel I'm
scared right now.
Buying.
I'm scared. I'm hoping it's one that I like.
No, you don't. I know you don't because we talked about it. I don't even like it. I'll tell you why I'm sticking with it is because Mark Russell, the writer, is a fantastic writer. And there have been some really funny elements in this. And I don't know, you may have dropped it, Eric, by this point. So number 1, I thought was really funny. Number 2, issue 2, nothing freaking happened. And that's where you dropped it, if I remember right. So I said, I'm going to give it one more. And in the 3rd issue, he introduced this character named Granny Smite. And she is a 80-year-old woman. She has no superpowers other than she realized that she can't die. And she wants to. So she's on this team because she's hoping the missions will kill her. But they use her, to do like this death-defying stuff because she can't die. And it's just really funny to me. And they're put together by this funky Flashman, like Stan Lee type character. The team is like a TikTok team.
Yeah, they want to get those TikTok likes.
They want to get clicks or whatever it is. And the guy is so smarmy. And in the 3rd issue, he starts this thing where he's like, "Hey, do you mind if I corn dog it?" He's on this all corn dog diet. So through the whole issue, he's just always eating corn dogs. It's so like It's so weird. It feels like the old JLI, Justice League International at points. At points, it
Yeah,
really
that
hits
or
that
even
formula.
you know what it reminded me of? Ecstatics. If you got
Yeah.
anybody out there knows Ecstatics, it's kind
Yeah.
of that weird sense of humor that you could read it and be like, "What the hell just happened?" Think about it and
Right.
go back and reread it, and then it's like, "Oh, okay, I see the joke."
But is that the best book Marvel put out? I don't think so. I mean, there's plenty from Marvel I haven't read. It's just out of everything Marvel put out, that's the only thing that
I will
that
get
is
back to
still
the
on my
whole
pull list.
the whole X universe is a sore spot with me, so I will get back to that one later.
I love you so much, you stupid idiot. That's all great. I kept reading this because there's this old lady that can't die.
She's
You know,
good
it
for
doesn't. I needed my Skittles.
I will not begrudge you that.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to drop it, and then I laughed at this old lady in a superhero costume bounding across the moon, wishing for death, a death that won't come to her. And I was like, shit, all right, I'm getting issue 4. I guess we'll see where this goes.
See, I did go back, Nate, and get some of the issues. So I went up to 5. I haven't read them, but they were pure, I'll admit, cover buys. The last covers were was it Adam Hughes, I think, did the cover. And there was a variant cover with Polaris that was just absolutely beautiful. So I went back and got that. Have I read it? No. Do I care to? No.
Yeah.
I think I did a flip through and I was like, okay, yeah, pretty much it's on par for what's going on. I may go back eventually.
I mean, just to talk in general about Marvel for a minute, and I think DC to a point does as well, but everything I have read from Marvel feels like they are trying to go back to their old house style of presentation. I don't feel like there's a lot of variety in the art. Marvel, X Factor looks like a lot of the other X books, looks like Spider-Man. I mean, I'm just not seeing even panel layouts. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're going to get
standardized.
Everything feels like it's very formulaic from them. And I'm trying to be as fair as I can because I haven't read a ton, but I'm just saying that what I have flipped through, the trades that I've picked up this year, I just have not been as impressed with their titles. And there've been a few trades I've picked up and not even finished reading, but I had it for free from the library and was like, I don't care. So
yeah, I mean the category dope head about disappointments, I could feel that a lot with Marvel because I've started and quit so many series this past year because I was like, oh, I haven't read this one in like 10 years, or I haven't read this one since the 90s, and I give it a try and it's just like, what the hell did I just read?
Right.
I don't know if it's because I have this nostalgic idea in my head about this character, or if it's just the writing itself nowadays.
And also, Dope, what you said earlier, I feel like Marvel paces for trade really heavily. They're like with this X Factor, the second issue, I mean, literally nothing happens in the book. Nothing happens in the second issue of this to move the story forward at all. And in the third issue, like, you could skip the second issue, go from this one to the third one, and you would get more out of the story. It was just it was so weak, and I feel like they have done that a lot. Those big panels, 2 splash pages for every issue that's not necessary. It's just there to pad it out, to make it so that they can hit their 6 issues for their trade.
Eric, what you got?
Well, okay, so this was a hard one because I am predominantly a Marvel guy, but like I said, I started and quit a lot of them. I could have probably did some X-Men because that's kind of my favorite universe in Marvel, but I went with one very different for me. I'm not a Spider-Man guy, but I went with Ultimate Spider-Man. Out of all the Ultimate books out there, this is, I think, the strongest one, written by Hickman. His pacing and the way he develops characters is just great. And I'm just going to show off all the covers because I'm a nut, and I cleaned out the end cap. So yeah, this one is my favorite. Spider-Man, I have kind of this thing where I'll get into them for a couple years, and then when it starts getting a little bit of samey story, I'll check out for a while, and then come back to see what's going on. But yeah, this was my favorite out of them all.
I am loving these covers.
In
2025, they're starting over at 1 again. I heard on Spider-Man. So
yeah. And it's again, it's one of those. It's an alternate universe that I love when they go outside of the box. Is it still Peter Parker? Yeah, he's still pretty much the same character, but it's like that. What if? What if he didn't become Spider-Man? What if he got married to Mary Jane and had kids, and all these what ifs in the world? So it's interesting to see kind of the same character, but in different situations.
I'm glad they're using Peter Parker again, because I remember a couple years ago, everybody's like, "Well, Miles, Peter's dead. We're never going to use him again."
Yeah, I've been getting the Miles one just out of because I don't know Miles, and then they have another series. Is it Spectacular Spider-Men that has both Peter and Miles in it, and I'm absolutely loving that one because it doesn't take itself too serious. The stories are fun. Seeing the two, partner up gives me those flashbacks of the old Marvel team up with that Spider-Man did, where he's teaming up with somebody and they go on adventures together. So I'm digging that one. There's a lot of the other ones that I usually give like 5 issues is like my normal. I went up to 10 on a lot of them. The Ultimate just to, finish out a story arc. Some of them were just dragging so much. So some of them I've already dropped. This is one that I'm still picking up. And I know there's more coming in the new year. So we'll see what those ones do.
They had a number 1 last week, that Spectacular Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that one's, I think, tying into the new animated show coming out on Disney.
It looked real kid-like. It was real. So, what you got, Hagen? Anything up there?
Yeah, so I just saw Joey's comment. When did they kill Peter off and how? Which time? Which decade? I don't know how they most recently killed him off, but I'm sure that it was spectacular and impermanent. But yeah, so we've talked a lot about like really liking one-shots and miniseries and stuff that doesn't feel samey. And Nate, I think you said this. I do agree with you that there does seem to be like a house style, how you can open up a comic book and even just on the characters that are inside, you don't really know what book it is. Like it just kind of all is the same. So right. I really like miniseries and one shots. And my favorite new thing that came out from Marvel this year, this is sort of the same thing that I did with DC. It started at the end of 23, but finished in 24, was this. This is Avengers Twilight. And it's written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Daniel Acuna. All of the covers are Alex Ross covers, which I'm a sucker for. But the inside, Daniel Acuna's art, like it's really, really good. And it pulls in it's a very like streaky style, very like looking at it through cellophane. And it gives you the feeling of being in like a bleaker future. And the panel layout, I don't know if you saw when I held it up, but the panel layout in this, like even that's changed. Like it just feels more dynamic. It's not so regimented. The thing that impressed me most about this is that they made a Captain America villain cool. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I actually thought that the main villain in this was cool. And I was absolutely shocked that you can do that to a Cap villain, because they're all kind of there. But yeah, that was my favorite new release from Marvel this year.
I put them both on the list.
Yeah, Avengers Twilight 6-issue miniseries. Find it in trade paperback form or your most legal online comic provider.
Well, my pick of Marvel, my favorite thing I read in Marvel, it's definitely Skittles. It is this right here, Zombie Oats. It's from the Venom War. I didn't read any of the Venom War, but Zombie Oats is I grew up, I don't know if any of y'all ever read any, but they had the Sinister Syndicate. Not the Sinister Six, but the Sinister Syndicate. They're a bunch of C and D list villains. It's Shocker, Boomerang, Hydro, Beetle.
Nate's getting excited.
I actually, I think I do have some of those now that you've named them. Yeah,
they had a series that came out called Spider-Man's Deadly Foes. There's like 4-issue miniseries.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah. Well, this book right here is about the C and D list villains. What happens when the zombiotes took over New York? They were going to rob a truck. And it's also, they're going to rob an armored truck. And it's also got a Hellcat in it, Speed Demon, Overdrive, Shocker, and She-Hulk's in it. And awesome. the art is really, really good. I don't know why the art's so good. You know, most of the time they don't put a great artist on some shitty book nobody's ever heard of. But this is definitely Skittles. It just brought me back to my childhood. It's got all the Sinister Syndicate in here. It's got Boomerang. It's got all of them in here. Overdrive. Shocker is the main guy in the whole thing.
What? You've got a D-list team when Shocker is your linchpin.
Yeah,
Shocker is your leader.
Eric Eric shuddered when you said that.
Whoa!
You got Shocker all in here. He's they're listening to Shocker. But they trapped themselves in a bar in New York City. It's a 4 mini-part issue, and they're trapped in a bar with She-Hulk, and they all got to survive the zombie apocalypse. So I really like this, but like you said, it was just fun. The story kind of just, it was Skittles. It wasn't. It ain't gonna win no awards or anything anytime soon.
That's great.
So okay, sorry, brief sidetrack from that. This didn't come out this year, but I did read it this year. That's going to be the theme for me. But the thing that I thought was going to be, to use my own term, Skittles, was deceased. And I read it and I was enraptured from beginning to end. Like it was genuinely a lot better than it had any reason to be. And you saying that just reminded me of that. I didn't mean to throw everything off the rails, but yeah, Deceased. I really like that this year too.
It's probably why I like the vampire one, because it's fun. Yeah, it's different. I don't take it serious. I have this thing where if you put vampires, zombies, or some kind of monster mixed with the superheroes, I'm going to get it, because it's fun to me. It's so fun to see them out of their normal crime fighting element,
Yeah. Well, what about best indie? Who wants to go first on that?
I've got a lot for.
Well, indie. I'll go, since I don't have a lot, and I can run through it real quick. My best indie is an Image series, and it's actually Ghost Machine. They started advertising this 6 months out, and I tried them all. Okay, and there's still more coming out, but the one that stuck with me the best was Geiger. I loved Geiger. I like the art. I like the character. I mean, it's, again, and I have a theme here. It's alternate universe. It's in the future, apocalypse. I love this art in this. I love that his 2-headed mutant dog's name is Barney. That's the name of my dog. So, yeah. And I mean, I tried. This was the other one I really liked, was Rook. This one, I gave it a couple issues. I kind of got bored of Redcoat. I think it's the character. I just don't like the character. But out of them all, this was my favorite. This is the one that when it comes out, it's one on the top of the list that I read when I get it, was Geiger. I don't know where they're going with it. Sometimes, you can kind of see where they're going with this story, but I don't know where they're going with this. I mean, he's still that character that just kind of hates his existence, but he keeps going on, and he's one of those hero types that keeps helping people, even though he acts like he doesn't want to help them. There's still that deep down, that good inside him. So, yeah, I just love the world. It's so fucked up, yeah. So yeah, that was my number one indie, is Geiger. I think this was kind of more or less what got me back into Image when they started pushing this stuff, because I was like, oh, this is kind of a big deal. Let's get into it and check it out. And for the most part, I liked what Jeff Johns is doing over there with the Ghost Machine.
I have wanted to check out a lot of Ghost Machine stuff. I'm going to, because I've, like you and Dope and several other people have talked about Geiger and Rook, especially those.
Yeah, Rook was really fun
the most. But I did pick up, what is it called? The Rocket.
Oh, the
Rockefellers.
Yeah.
Jeez, I hated that.
I don't hate Rockefellers.
It was, I don't even want to get
Like the
into
Jetsons,
it.
ain't it?
Yeah, it's basically the Jetsons, but they're running from something.
It was, but they're hiding in modern times. So like,
it's weird.
It felt like a CW show. Like, hey, we're gonna have a family from the future, but we can't really afford the effects, so we're gonna put them here. And when we want to do an effect, we'll do it. And it's like, that's fine if it's a show, but this is a comic book, man. Just draw the freaking future. Yeah. That's what I thought I was getting.
Yeah, some of those other titles I know that they've either advertised or are just now coming out. I've tried them. They haven't hooked me at all. Even with Hyde Street, they're kind of doing that horror thing, which the first issue was okay, but it didn't make me want to pick up the other ones to keep going with it. I just didn't care enough. I was like, it's okay, but I'm not into seeing what else happens.
Right.
How about you, Hagen?
So my wife reads a lot of indie stuff. Her big go-to is Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter, that kind of sphere. And so I obviously I get her stuff for her because we share the same poll box because of holy matrimony or whatever. But
it's half hers.
Yeah. So I read all of her stuff, but my favorite indie book that came out end of last year into this year is Transformers. I have, and this is just the third most recent one that I have, but oh my God, it's so fun. I think it was in like the third or fourth issue where like Optimus Prime is jumping over something. There's something exploding. And then in the fire, you can see they've written like, you already know the song. And I heard You Got the Touch in my head. It's just a ton of fun. I do have one gripe with it, and it's the same gripe that I had with Void Rivals. Void Rivals came out around the same time to introduce what they're calling the Energon universe. And I was really intrigued by Void Rivals. I thought it was this really interesting like story of two societies and how they deal with their problems in different ways. And then Jetfire showed up, and I was immediately like, I don't care anymore. I do not care anymore. And the Joes showing up in Transformers didn't quite do that to me, but yeah, I just like I like those things to be discreet. I didn't even like the Joes showing up in when the Transformers had toys or like when I was a kid and buying that stuff. I just wanted those things to be separate. But I'm not gonna complain because Transformers it's a ton of fun. But they're also doing really interesting stuff with like my favorite character is Ultra Magnus and my second favorite character is Soundwave. And both of those guys are getting awesome treatment in Transformers. So I can't complain too much. But yeah, that's been my favorite indie book so far this year.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Transformers.
Yeah, it's very adult themed. It's not the Marvel. It's not the old Hasbro cartoon. It's kind of brutal. Some of these characters, the way they act, especially the villains, they're just dastardly in the comic, and the artwork is fantastic.
Yeah. Folk really dying out here. It's actually happening.
Daniel Warren Johnson's art is so interesting for it because like he's not a technical artist, he's more of a cartoonist. And most of the time, like I feel like with Transformers, they wanted somebody who could make it look like an engineering, schematic or something. They wanted a very technical person. And there's just something about this that gives it a cartoonesque. I love this new run on Transformers. I've only read the first 8. And I want to pick up the rest of them because it's just been, like you said, man, it is just fun. And it's really well done.
There was the Michael Bay-ism of like the engineering thing to where like you had to see this is where the mirror moves and this is where like this pipe is, and I don't give a damn. Like it's an 18-wheeler that transforms into the coolest guy you've ever met. Like I don't need to know the exact schematics of it. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. It'll be fine.
And I was worried about that with like them merging the Joe and Transformer universe, but like with Void Rivals, they did it very subtly. So yeah, it's there, but there's some like deep cuts in that series that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Cobra Commander. So
I haven't read that, and I want to because I'm enjoying the new G.I.
That one
Joe
was good.
series as well.
I've heard the Scarlet sucks, but the Cobra Commander I heard was good. So
Yeah, I heard Duke wasn't that great either.
yeah.
But,
So, well, my
Um,
indie read
go
of the
ahead.
year, Sam and Twitch.
I knew it.
This right here, I picked up one week just because I didn't have a lot of stuff in my pull box, and it was a number one. And I do not like Spawn that much. I picked this up, and to my surprise, it has nothing to do with Spawn, which I love. It's just a detective story. If y'all have ever watched the movie Seven, it's very much like
What's in
Seven.
the box?
It's always raining. There's bloody dead people everywhere.
Louise.
It's very brutal. It's very. I love it.
It's right up your alley, then, right?
Yeah.
I love it. It's it's really good. So Sam and Twitch is my favorite indie of the year. And since we're already talking about it and talking about honorable mentions, I do love Geiger. Geiger made my list. Rook made my list. I love everything Ghost Machine except Horns and what's it called? Horns and Haby or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
and I didn't like the Rockefellers. I love
didn't
Hyde
either.
Street.
Okay.
Hyde Street. Part 1 was no good. Part 2 was really good. And then this came out on this year on Image, and I really love this. It's not just your straight up Frankenstein story. It's 4 issues, but each issue is basically a story within inside the story about one's about where he got his eyes, one's got where he got his heart, one's where he got his hands, and the other one's where he got his brain. So you get
I really like the Creature Black Lagoon they did.
There's a creature and a Dracula. So
That is cool.
but
I
yeah,
like that.
Nate's writing it down right now.
I am. Well, he's been talking about Sam and Twitch for so long, and like I love detective noir and I love horror, and that seems like a
if you like
amalgamation of
Seven
both of
and
those.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs, it's
8
really
millimeter?
good. The artwork's real good. And that's the thing about Ghost Machine. They're using really good quality materials too. A lot of times I'll go into my LCS and you can look down the aisle, and a lot of times you'll see like the Marvel books.
And they're falling.
Oh,
They're wavy already, and you didn't even buy them off the shelf, and it's like just,
right.
Yeah.
Marvel,
Still
Marvel-
like $6.
Marvel is using the cheapest paper of any of the publishers right now. Their covers feel like interior paper. Like,
And some of the
it's
Image
bad.
books are still $2.99.
Right.
It's like, how can you even make money at $2.99 giving you card stock, great artwork?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So is that everybody's honorable mentions? Anybody else?
Hold on, I haven't done my indie book yet.
All right, let's do that.
All right, my indie book pick is Grommets by Image.
A lot of people love that.
Dude, okay, so this book has nothing to do with superheroes. This is a coming of age teenage story. Kid from the Midwest moves to California, learns to skateboard. This cover here like gives me like Archie Comics vibes.
Yeah.
It's the girls from the skateboarding crew. It's co-written by Brian Posen and Rick Remender. Rick Remender's what is his Giant Generator, everything I have read from him under that Image imprint has been wonderful. So I think they're on issue, it's a 7 issue, they're on 6. I've got 6 by the bed to read. But it's just, it is so 80s. Like, just look at this muscle guy with his mustache and his ringer tee, like ready to beat the punk rocker's butt. It is a blast. And if you like 80s movies, Karate Kid, any of those things where people have to save the rec center, not that
The
that's
Village
the plot.
People's music videos.
Yeah, it's I feel like that's a book that more people have jumped on the longer it's gone because they've been reprinting old issues. So like I think the issue number 1 has like 5 or 6 different printings at this point.
It's more of an Archie feel-good book, right?
It is, but it's also really honest. The guys are trying to get with girls. They're smoking pot. They're drinking beer at parties. Like it is a very honest.
I know what kind of books Nate likes now.
I'm a simple man.
Yeah, there's like a 7-Eleven variant cover that's worth some money. Everybody's buying up. So.
Yeah. So I would definitely, if you have any interest in just a good story, if you like that kind of thing, tracking that down when the trade comes out, which has to be fairly soon because I think the last issue comes out in a month or 2.
And I was going to answer Joey's question real quick. He asked me what I thought of Twister. I thought Twister was good. It was very 90-ish art. Of course, it came out in the 90s, but came with serial killer cards in the comic and came with a newspaper in there. But it was pretty good, Joey. I don't know why they didn't ever make an issue 2. So, all right, keep going. You got any?
Well, I've got an honorable mention. Well, technically I have 2, but one doesn't count at all. If this could have been counted for DC, like DC proper, then didn't switch these out. But my honorable mention is Nice House by the Sea.
Nice.
I didn't pick this for DC because it doesn't feel like a DC book, like it's DC Vertigo. And the book that I picked had Godzilla in it. So, but Nice House by the Sea, like I read Nice House by the Lake for the first time this year. I got it in trade. My God, it's everything that I want out of like a post-apocalypse story. And it's like the writing is so tight, the artwork is so good. And like the concepts that they're doing, it's a more grown up version of Lord of the Flies. Like it's just really good stuff. There have been very few things that Tynion has written that I've disliked. One of them I'll talk about in a bit, but yeah, I was blown away by Nice House on the Lake and Nice House by the Sea.
My problem with Titan is not his stories as much as I hate the fact that he takes large breaks. So if you read it by trade, it's a good way to do it. Because I was into Nice House on the Lake, and it's like issue 6, they went like a 3-month hiatus. I was like, what the hell?
That was waiting for this one. Yeah.
Because he writes so many things, he has to go where his money is,
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the one he's doing now about the serial killer in the middle of winter?
I just posted that on
the
Deviant. There you go, Deviant.
They're taking a break. I mean, the last number 9 ain't coming out till like February.
And that's a shame because this is one of my honorable mentions. It's a oh my God, as far as like dark crime, goes, it's great, but yeah, it's been slow to come out.
Yeah, I've been picking those up, but I've been waiting to read them until I have like 2 or 3 type of thing. I'm caught up now, and it's just like, I'm starting to forget what the story is. I'm going to have to go back and read it again when the new one comes out.
8 issues of that's been like over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's going all the way to February now. So.
So I actually I'll go through these quick 3 honorable mentions because I couldn't decide on my top picks. First one here is any of the Alien stuff that Marvel's doing this year. I've absolutely loved. They did the Black, White, and Blood series, which was very cool art style, where everything was, the very monochromatic, black, white, and red. Any of the Alien stuff kind of gives me the feels of the old Dark Horse 90s stuff they did. They did this whole What If series. Burke survived, which was hilarious. He ends up taking the blame for everything and gets put into the ass end of space. So yeah, anything Marvel's doing with Aliens, I like I don't like that they keep doing like 6-issue minis or whatever, and it's kind of the same story. They may reference older characters. It's like a different time period. I'm not crazy about that. They could just do an ongoing. I'd be happy with that, but I think that's just something they like doing nowadays. The second one I like is the new Conan the Barbarian series by Titan. Absolutely love the old feelings I get from this one. I mean, I have Buscema vibes with the art on this. Jim Zub he's writing a classic Conan stories of adventure. I really love this series. I was skeptical about when it came out because I was thinking it'd be similar to what Dark Horse did I think in the 90s, and it wasn't all that great, the stories. But he's sticking to a lot of the old original concepts, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's so much better than a Blaze that tried it a couple years ago.
Yeah. And then this one, I'm surprised I didn't pick this one up, but it's Anything Wolverine, my favorite character in the Marvel Universe. I'm digging this new series. Of course, this is the one that gets me with variant covers when you have beautiful covers like this with him on it. some of the stuff they're doing with Deadpool. Here you go, dope. They're Wolverine. They did that series. And there's a little preview of the new series that they did way back then. So, yeah, those were my honorable mentions. I'm glad you had honorable mention because I had a hard time picking with these ones. So
that Wolverine really surprised me how good it was. But I've always liked Benjamin Percy. And I was going to read it because I'm a Ghost Rider guy, but it surprised me. I didn't want to like it, but I did like it.
So my honorable mentions, the first two I think started last year, but or are still going on. Deviant's still going on. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This one surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah,
this is a great book. If you like serial killers and Richard Scarry art, this is the book for you.
Or Dexter. It reminds me of Dexter.
I love it. Animal Pound by Tom King is a Animal Farm reimagining taking place in a pound, a place where they're going to kill a bunch of animals, and then the animals take over, and then the animals have their different factions. This is another Daniel Warren Johnson called The Moon is Following Us, about these two parents who their daughter is in a sleeping coma. And in order to rescue her, they need to go into her dreams. And there is a very 80s toy kind of feeling, like her toys are in her imagination and in her dreams, and they're in this place with them. It's cool. It's on issue 4 and I'm really digging it. Also, I just had to put Absolute Batman on there. And my favorite thing, that this is my under the radar / honorable mention. Nobody talks about Batman Offworld. Jason,
because there's 10 titles.
Well, there is. But also, this is another one that's notoriously late. This should have wrapped up this year, and I'm still waiting on issue 5 or 6.
Wow.
But it's Batman in space for no good reason. They don't even really tell you why he's in space. And all these aliens that encounter him, they don't know what the hell a bat is, so they just keep calling him Birdman because he's got wings. And they beat his ass mercilessly. So he takes a robot that's made to to be whatever, and he has the robot beat his ass constantly to train him to fight these. And of course he's Batman, so he takes over. It's this is a hoot. This is just fun.
Nate, you sold me. I'm
Skittles.
gonna write this one down. Skittles. Yes.
That one is
You said Batman in space. I instantly think Jason X in space, Leprechaun in space. I'm like, dude, you just sold me right there.
So those would be my honorable mentions this year. I think, and I said this to Eric from 9 Panel Grid the other day, I think it's a really good time to be a reader. If you if you're into books that are coming out right now, it's just a bad time to be my wallet, because I can't get there's so much, you guys. I mean, I'm writing stuff down, but I can't get all this, it's not like it used to be. It's hard. It's expensive.
Hard.
Whatever you do, don't go to www.readallcomics.com. Whatever you do, we do not endorse going to that site and looking for comics that you want to read. Don't do it. It's wrong.
I mean, unless you spend $40 to $50 a week already, and then it's fine.
My LCS gets plenty of my own money. I guarantee you.
That's all of our honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what about biggest disappointment of the year? It ain't even got to be comic books. It's anything to do comic related.
Oh, but mine is.
Okay.
And mine
I've
will
got 3
shock
or 4
you.
disappointments.
You got 3 or 4. I got one big one, and this one really hurts. I mentioned earlier.
I want to see it.
You want to see it? Okay. So I am X-Men guy through and through. It's what got me into comics. That's what I've been reading for almost 50 years now.
My condolences.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many titles. It's hard nowadays. It's hard to be an X-Men fan. And I got back into comics a couple years ago. And it's that basically just after Krakoa started, loved it. Then Hickman left. It's okay. And my biggest disappointment is the end of the Krakoa age. It went out like a lame fart. It just once Hickman left, and they said they had his notes, and some of the stuff was okay. I'm not saying it was bad, but it wasn't exciting. It was like a slow death of, and then what they did after, they just went back to status quo and then didn't explain stuff and changed up teams that they had a okay finale where it's like, okay, we're just going this way, like X-Force. And then they come out with the new X-Force volume and it's like, wait, what? It's all different characters. What happened? So, and then they tried doing stuff like this when they first started Krakoa, where they had Rise and Fall that were kind of like a segue. I just, at that point, I didn't care anymore. And I hate to say that because I am such an X-Men fan. Like I said, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. It wasn't where it was years ago when they first started this totally different vision of them. Like I said, kind of went out like a lame fart.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest disappointment for the year.
I feel like mine can piggyback on yours. My biggest disappointment of the year is the 4-issue Dazzler miniseries.
I stopped at 2. I saw where this was going. I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Nate couldn't stop it too.
I couldn't stop it. It was 4 issues. I was going to stick with it. I'm a completionist and I'm an idiot. But this book, this should have been the year to do something really clever with the character of Dazzler. And they have dropped the ball so hard. This series, they misused the X characters. There she is. Strong guy, multiple man are in this for no good reason. Characters that I love. I will say the covers, the covers by Terry Dodson are really good. This one I actually went with a variant because this is not Terry Dodson, but I loved this one for issue 4 so much.
Friesen, that thing is
come
beautiful.
on, this is gorgeous. But
and then you open it.
every issue literally has 4 pages of her singing a song, which I don't know why they haven't figured out that doesn't work in comic books. But it's 4 pages of her singing a song that the writer wrote lyrics for. And I don't want to disparage the guy, but he is a horrible songwriter. The lyrics are god awful. I mean, the guy needs to go to a show don't tell conference. So it's just bad. I'm glad it was only 4 issues. If it had been 6, I don't know if I could have stuck with it.
I like I said, the X-Men stuff it's been kind of like status quo. And I have read that the new X office have been experimenting, they call it, and throwing stuff on the walls to see what sticks. And there's so many of these solo books that I feel that that's what's going to happen. They're not going to stick. So it's like, okay, why are you not putting some kind of substance in it then?
Right. With the hype that was around the character of Dazzler because of Taylor Swift, I think they could have done something really clever with a washed up pop star kind of storyline.
Yeah.
But they chose to make it this I don't know. I don't even know that there was this
I don't know what was going on. What was the point? A concert?
What was the point? What was the point? Every issue was her in a different city singing a song and then a villain coming on stage and they would fight while she continued to sing the song. That was every issue was exactly like that. But I did get the Jenny Friesen cover. So this I will put this on the filing cabinet more than a few times because it's beautiful. But yeah, if you want to read a good Dazzler comic, if you want to read a better Dazzler comic, any of the original run is just wonderful. It's good cheese. This was bad. They really dropped the ball.
What about you, Hagen?
So my biggest disappointment is a technicality. It's a trade that came out in 2024 for a series that came out in 2021. So I'm gonna do 2. The first one's going to be this trade. The second one's going to be the actual thing that disappointed me most from this year that came out this year. The trade is this. This is Mimetic by Tinium. Now, the whole point of this is that there is this image that gets uploaded onto the internet one morning, and by the end of the day, it has taken over the world. People are obsessed with this. They're trying to show other people this. Think if you've ever seen Black Mirror, think what they were implying with the episode of White Bear before it turned out to not be that. That's what happened here. And I was sold. I was having a great time because it felt like a zombie story with higher stakes, and I enjoyed the characters and the reasons why they were immune to this sort of brain virus that was going on. And then the last issue comes out, and like, if you want to read this and you're watching this, mute me for a second, but don't read this. It's aliens, and that's it. And then they all transform into like these different body horror spires and ascend to the sky, and that's it. That I would have rather them not explained it. I would have rather like there been a mystery, or this image just takes over the world and we don't know why, and that's the end of it. So it's like I was excited for the end, and then the end completely let all of the wind out of my sails. So that is like the biggest disappointment, and I feel bad because I actually bought the damn thing, and now I don't have anything to do with it.
Man,
I could still look at it. And I could still read the first 5, like kind of how I treat Game of Thrones. I just watched like the first couple seasons, and then I'm really sad that they didn't get to finish that show.
It's a shame.
I'm that way with Walking Dead. I go up to the point of Negan, and then I'm out.
Yeah. The comic series that disappointed me most that came out this year. And it didn't disappoint me because I just kind of expect it, because I as a fan of this character, I've been stepped on for a long time. The Captain America series. I don't know if anybody here has read it. You don't have to. It's not that great. The thing that people like about, like, the thing that other people like about the Captain America character is that he has down to earth stuff to do. He's not really like a super hero. You know, he can't breathe in space. He can't fly. He's just a really buff dude with a Frisbee. And there's a lot of interesting things that you could do with that. But having a magical god plot where you have to fight against like the forces of death, and you have your shield enchanted by this unknowable like god of life. Like, I just want to see him punch some Nazis, please, for the love of God. That's all I want. That's all I want. I don't think that Cap will ever be as good, like, hot take, as the Brubaker years.
Right.
But I
got a high watermark.
I got kind of excited when they did the Avengers kind of side story during the vampire storyline, where Cap assembled like a new team, and he like you said, he was punching Nazi vampires, and it was fun. I'm like, this is cool. And then they went after that whole miniseries. They started that Avengers, new book with Cap, but it's not. Yeah, I kind of was let down. It's not, like you said, him punching Nazis.
Yeah, and like the reason why I find this to be more disappointing than that is that there is not going to be a bigger disappointment for me than a Cap fan, or as a Cap fan, than reading him saying "Hail Hydra." That's the high watermark for disappointment for me.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. It's not serviceable. It fills in like empty numbers in my filing cabinet. That's what it's for, and I'm fine with that. I allow myself this one grotesque luxury, and then everything else I'm discerning with. But yeah, I just don't like it. I'm gonna keep buying it because I'm a stupid idiot, but I just really don't like it.
All right, I gotta ask you something, Hagen. Mine and your worlds collide. Last year, I loved a book, and it was Skittles, but I loved this book. I loved Capwolf. Did you read that?
I hated it.
Hey, he's punching zombies. I mean,
he's a werewolf.
Sure. For
Stephanie
Skittles, sure. For Skittles, sure. It's not quite my thing with that character, but I'm not yucking your yum, so to say. If you enjoyed it, go for it, and I'm happy that you did.
Well, when you said punching Nazis, I thought of that.
I'll give it another read because I do have it because I'm a stupid idiot. Even though I said that I read it online and I said I don't like this, and then I went to my LCS and I was like, 1, please. So
I mean,
yeah.
I love that we say that like it's unique. Like any one of us is not in a room surrounded by thousands of dollars worth of mistakes. It's my shame is off camera, but I promise it's right there.
and another thing that I think that Eric and Hagen especially would be interested in, next week my favorite book of the year comes out on Christmas Day, Hell Hunters.
Oh yeah,
it's got Wolverine in it for you, Eric. Hagen, it's got Bucky in it. It's a Nazi story, 1944. It's got Ghost Rider, Bucky, Sergeant Fury, and Wolverine. It's a 1944 story.
It's like Howling Commandos, right? It's kind of like Howling Commandos, but
That's
just
cool.
all darker.
Benjamin Percy says it's the best thing he ever wrote. It's going to be amazing. So
let's do it.
Try to pick that up next week if you can.
All 6 covers.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
Eric.
not going to get me with that.
It's got Ghost Rider 44 as the main person in it. It tells his origin story. Ghost Rider 44 first appeared in the Hulk number 6 of last year. My worst read of the year. I'm a big horror collector. I love old pre-code horror and stuff. And EC Comics came back out, and it is not too good.
The first one was okay, right?
Huh?
First one was okay though, right?
I hated it.
No.
The covers are amazing.
Yeah.
They just came out with a Christmas edition, and it wasn't bad. But
that one I like.
Cover like this, and it's got people hiding under the bed. The barn's on fire. Everything's cool. And then you open up the book, and this is the actual story to this cover. You see the artwork, how bad it is. It's like, what is that? So they hire these people to do these great covers, and then they got like stick man drawings in there, I think. So I hated this.
Yeah.
With a passion. Also disappointments, Joker 2, the movie. I don't know if anybody made it all the way through that.
I think of that.
I haven't. It's on Max. I fully intend to try to make my way through it.
I made it halfway through it, then fast forwarded to the end just to see the ending because I knew what was going to happen. But it was horrible. It's a musical, so
yeah.
Also, The Crow. I don't know if y'all watched that this year.
Oh,
I didn't even want to go there.
That looked so bad.
Nope.
I walked out of the theater on that one.
Wow. Damn.
That's
I was walking back out, and the
bad.
woman said, "Did you find your theater?" I said, "Yep." And I just kept walking. I guess she thought I couldn't find where I was supposed to go.
Wow.
That's a special kind of bad. It's not like my hometown has a $5 theater. I'll walk out of that. I'm not walking out of an $18 movie.
I hope
unless
you got
it's
your
really,
popcorn
really damn
refill
bad.
at least on the way out.
Yeah.
Damn.
And my last biggest disappointment was no Toxic Avenger this year. That movie was supposed to be released this year. The toy line got released. The comic book came out, but we didn't get the movie. The movie's got the little guy off of
Peter
Game of
Dinklage.
Thrones.
Oh yeah.
The bad guy is he's famous too. I forgot what movie he was off of. Lord of the Rings, but no, it's Harry Potter. So, but yeah, I wanted to see that movie. I'm really big. I'm a big Toxic Avenger fan, and we ain't getting it this year. Don't look like so.
That's weird.
Yeah, it keeps getting pushed back, so I don't know what's going on with that. All right, so here's another question for you since we're talking about movies. 4 movies coming out in 2025 that everybody's excited about comic-wise. Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and Superman. Which one are you most excited about?
Superman.
What is Superman?
Superman.
I figured you'd go Captain America.
No. Everything after Endgame is gravy to me, and I don't have high hopes for the new Captain America movie. I'm sure it'll be fine, but Harrison Ford's just kind of a curmudgeon, and more power to him. But I just don't really super duper see it working.
No, I don't either.
I'm excited being a Hulk fan. I want to see the Red Hulk, but
yeah, I'm sure it'll be a movie. But I'm like, if you're talking about excitement, I didn't think, like, especially if little kid Hagen were to hear me talking about this, I never thought that I would be excited to see a Superman movie. I'm genuinely pumped to see what James Gunn does. I want this new DC universe to be good. I really want it to be good.
I'm really worried. I'm afraid that he's going to make it Guardians of the Galaxy, which was fine. It worked, but you don't need to make everything Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what I'm worried about.
I will say I don't think, like, based on what I saw of Superman in that trailer, right? I think he's gonna scratch his Guardians of the Galaxy itch with all these little side characters that are going to show up for little bits.
Yeah.
But with those scenes that I saw with him and Lois, and oh my God, like, I hate the suit. Like, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to my Superman suit. So I hate the collar. But like the way that I felt seeing that trailer, and yes, freaking Crypto.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, everything about it worked so well. And, you know, I'm sure you guys saw Ricky's Instagram post where he was squealing.
He kind of went nuts.
I was doing the same thing. So like, I watched it because my phone told me it launched. So I watched it on my phone in the hallway because I had a classroom full of kids. I literally said, "Hey, I'll be right back. I'll be back in 2 minutes." And so I left my kids, and because I'm a great teacher. It was the last day of school. It doesn't matter.
They're not doing anything anyway.
I sat in the hall and I watched that on my phone, and like, I squealed and I had a tear in my eye, and other teachers are like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "It's a Superman trailer." And so everybody that walked by my room, and I did show it to my students, and they were like, "I can't wait. July's too far. That's like half my life." Like, yeah, it's a long time. But anyone that walked by my room, I was like, "Hey, did you see the new Superman trailer?" And and so I have like a big screen TV in my room for my, interactive board. And I'm like, "Well, come on." And I must have watched that thing 10 times on Friday, just with people walking by my room that I was saying to watch it.
Now, I think the reason I'm picking Superman is because, it's all going to be fun, right? Entertainment movies type of thing. But I think what it is that it looks like they're going to do something different with Superman, whereas the Marvel ones kind of look like the same old. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything
looks good to me for some reason. I don't know why.
A lot of the stuff that they've been putting out on Disney Plus, whether it's a series or a new Marvel movie, it just seems samey. They're not doing anything new with the character. Yeah, while I do want them to stick to the source material, you can still tell a good story that's different. And especially with Superman. How many stories? I mean, Superman's been around forever. They've done, how many TV shows and Christopher Reeve movies and, TV shows in the 90s. So it's like, you're going to get samey after a while. So this looks like they're trying to do different stuff. So that was the reason why I picked, I think, that one.
Yeah. It looks like I saw Guy Gardner, Metamorpho.
Yep.
Yes.
Mr. Terrific.
These are some guys that they haven't done anything with ever. So
I mean, I don't know that there's ever been a live action Metamorpho. I'm pretty sure this is the first one, and that to me is insane. Like, that is some serious C-list stuff, and I definitely could not be more excited.
I definitely thought he was a White Walker for like half a second.
Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I do agree, Dope. I think out of all of them, I think Thunderbolts looks like it could be a lot of fun, because I don't feel like they're not putting a lot of gravitas on that. And I think that's going to be the failure of Captain America, if it fails, is that they're trying to make it maybe too big.
Well, they're trying to make Civil War again, is what they're trying to do.
It's a shame, because like, I actually liked the Disney Plus Cap and Winter Soldier show. I liked it.
Yeah, that one was surprising to me. And also the Hawkeye one I kind of liked too, because it was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard it described as Marvel's Suicide Squad, basically.
Right.
It's supposed to be goofy.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah, I think it could be fun. I think Brave New World is going to be, I think it's going to be okay. I think people are going to say that it's worse than it is, but I think it's going to be okay. And I really hope to God that they don't fuck up Daredevil. Like, the Daredevil Netflix show was just so unbelievably good.
Good.
Christopher, same.
So good.
If they just stay at that same level, I'll be happy. Perfectly fine. I just want more of it. I think Charlie Cox is really good. John Bernthal's great.
I know it was a different time, but if you think back to that first Netflix show, he didn't even have a costume.
No,
I mean,
not until the
and
last
I was
episode.
okay with that.
exactly, like it wasn't about, going back to story. It was just riveting to watch these people. It didn't have to be this big superhero thing. So yeah, I mean, from everything I've read, it seems like they're going to continue from the Netflix. It's I'm excited. I think I love that Charlie Cox is like coming back. I would love to see Daredevil in the bigger MCU in a better way. Yeah, I'm really excited for that show. I'm honestly excited for quite a bit of the Marvel stuff. Even the stuff that's terrible on TV. I'm like, I just think back to when I was a kid and what I didn't have available to me.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, if I don't like it, I just won't watch it or I won't finish it. But dang, man, I mean, I love the buffet, the nerd buffet we live in right now for these streaming
I found
shows.
it interesting that nobody even said a word about Fantastic Four. I'm not too excited about that.
I am, but I haven't seen enough of it.
Yeah.
I every actor except Robert Downey Jr. I'm excited for. I just wish it wasn't him being Doom. I feel like he was Iron Man, and to see him, it's going to be hard for me, even though he's a great actor, but I could be surprised. I like, what's his name? Pedro Pascal, and the guy who's going to play Ben Grimm from The Bear. If anybody watches The Bear, he's cousin Richie, and holy crap. He's got the mouth for it. It's going to be, I especially if they do a retro futuristic 60s, but I just haven't seen enough of it. So I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. I feel that way. I haven't seen enough of it. And also, I've hated the Fantastic Four since I was a little kid. Please, God, don't tell Brandon from Mon Comics, but I have. I don't know why I don't get along with them, but I just don't. If you're watching this, I don't begrudge you the Fantastic Four. Have it, enjoy it. It's just not for me. But I do still want it to be good. They just haven't released a trailer for it yet. I've seen like fuzzy, like 1080i clips of it shot from like somebody's lap while they're being carted away by some federal agent with Mickey Mouse ears. And I just haven't seen enough of it.
Well, is there anything? What was the best comic book related movie show from 2024?
Oh my God, I got my dream movie this summer. I can even go as far as say Wet Dream. And that is this little ditty. I couldn't ask for a bigger fan service movie for Wolverine. I absolutely love this. It had the humor. It had just straight up fighting, which is what I wanted for Wolverine. I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan, but I think Ryan Reynolds is perfect for that role. Getting, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, maybe for the last time, this was a perfect cap for it. So, and it's one of those things that I brought, me and my wife went to it, and she's not big into the movies and the shows, but she absolutely loved this movie. She came out laughing. She's like, that was entertaining. And that's what it was. It was entertaining. It didn't have big grandeur storyline. It was just bad guy doing bad guy things. Let's put two of the most despicable guys, together and hijinks. So yeah, that was my favorite.
It was good. I liked it. I'm not as invested in the characters as you. So like, it was just, I'm that way with all the Deadpool movies though. I'm like, I'm done watching them. I'm like, yeah, that was fun. And I don't think I've watched any of them twice.
For me, and my wife teases me out about this, it was a Hugh Jackman thing. I have like man crush on Hugh Jackman.
That's what I was going to say though, is in this last one, like my favorite moments are when they quit joking and Hugh Jackman got to be like this horrible, damaged person.
Yeah.
Those were like real, well acted. He is a good actor. And he got to bring that. And the choreography of the fights in certain parts was just phenomenal.
Brutal.
It was a lot of fun. For me, it was the Penguin though. Penguin was the best thing I saw last year that was comic book related. I very rarely am like if a show comes out at 9:00 on a Sunday, my wife and I will be like, we'll watch it when we can through the week because we're busy, because we get up at 5 a.m. We were Sunday night at 9:00. We were watching that show, staying up late before the Monday work week because we were so. Colin Farrell is unreal, unrecognizable under the makeup, and just dissolves into the character. But then the big surprise for me was the girl who plays Sophia Falcone, who I don't know the actress's name. I've never seen her in anything else, but I saw some clips of her in something else where she's like this little, she's like a cutie pie, and she's, oh, dude, like rom-com type of standard actress. But in this, she is vicious and damaged. It was so visceral and so good. And if you haven't seen it, man, it is like however many hours of it is, it's wonderful.
Now I've heard it compared to Gotham a little bit. It's basically if Batman met the Sopranos.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
The thing is, it fits into the Batman, Matt Reeves's movie. It's after after that movie, and I don't know why Batman is not present, but he's not, and that's fine.
I like that.
Yeah,
I knew you would, but I mean, there is zero Batman in this show. It is literally about the crime families, and it's intense. Also, freaking Clancy Brown, from Highlander.
I love Clancy Brown.
Yeah. He is he's the head he's Sal Maroni, or I don't, he's one of the other crime family. He's so good. He's so good.
You see the wall break whenever the Riddler blows up the city, and you see all the water come in off of the movie. It's got a lot of ties to it.
Yeah, and, it's but again, like there's no Batman coming. They're not like, well, we can't go out because the bat's out there. No talk, nothing. I like
that.
Yeah,
it was my favorite pick too.
Yeah, it was really good. I want to watch it again. I probably will now that I've got a break.
Yeah, the twist at the end with him and his sidekick, my wife made her mad.
Oh. It was great. It was great, but it was hard. It was a hard watch. It wasn't a fun show to watch. It really wasn't. But you couldn't look away because you understood why these terrible people were terrible and why they were doing terrible things. You were hopeful that things would get better, and they don't. But I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. Just watch it. Yeah. Christopher Parker says Last of Us on anyone's list. Did that come out last year?
I got the box set of it and just watched it all in one big binge.
It's so good. It was so good.
And sadly, I don't know if they're going to do another season. Because
They are.
Are they? Okay.
They are. Yeah.
I love that world.
I have not watched Last of Us, and I didn't watch it because a friend of mine who did watched it with his girlfriend. The girlfriend loved it, and he was like, it's very accurate to the video game. So much so that if you've played the video game, I don't really know what extra you're getting from it.
Got it.
And there's a lot of stuff that I like to do. And I love Pedro Pascal. And from what I've heard, the girl that plays Ellie is fantastic.
Oh my God, she's so good.
But if it's just a video game, like
it pretty much is.
I already did that, and when you're watching something on TV, that's stuff that's happening to other people. When you're playing a video game, it feels like it's happening to you. So like you don't get the same sense of like impending panic watching them like root through cupboards looking for like knives and stuff to make weapons out of as you do when you're frantically like pounding the square button like, dear God, please, there's gotta be a fork or some shit in here. Like, so yeah, I mean, I've heard that it's great, but it's way down on my list. Penguin is far higher because I hear from everybody that it's great, but I wanted to wait until the whole thing came out so that I could binge it all at once and not sleep for days.
Well, one other thing I heard about Penguin, and it's really not a spoiler. I don't even know if it's going to happen or not, but I don't know. You might know, Nate, but they say that the Hangman, Falcone, her psychiatrist is Scarecrow.
That would make sense. That's logical. You know.
Yeah.
So we might get a Scarecrow series.
Well, I do know that they have said they're going. James Gunn has announced that they're going to do a Clayface movie, which on its surface I was like, but it's going to be written and directed by Mike Flanagan, who did Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass. He's done a lot of horror shows for Netflix that are outstanding. So oh my God, Midnight Mass. Oh. If you have it, I'm not gonna say anything.
You get better and better every show.
Nobody should know anything going into that show, but everybody write it down, Hagen. Midnight Mass on Netflix. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So if Mike Flanagan is attached to do that, I fully on board. I will watch it. Yeah. Clayface could be amazing. I agree with Jason there.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other one I have for best comic related show, I'm really digging Creature Commandos. I don't know if you are watching that.
I watched a couple episodes. Dope.
Well, I mean, it holds my attention span. It's only 22 minutes a show, so I love it.
Yeah, I've only watched the first episode, and I mean, obviously, my favorite. Well, my favorite character is the robot. Robot.
Are they Nazis?
He's like, I would like to shoot some Nazis. Would you like to come and shoot some Nazis with me? Because that's all he's designed to do. It is in that Suicide Squad universe. It's I'm again like I love that they're letting James Gunn kind of. It's not all Suicide Squad, but he's like. I think he's like, hey, there's more than Batman and freaking Superman in this universe, and we really have to highlight that because DC has some good weird, you know.
Yeah.
And Creature Commandos seems to be some good weird happening.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4 is a lot better than the first one.
Okay.
And 2, 3, and 4 goes into people's origin stories. So each one's got a different guy. Like number 2 is about Frankenstein's bride. Number 3 is the origin of GI Robot, and number 4 is a Weasel.
Oh, okay.
You get to find out what happened, why Weasel's the way he is, and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And is it just me? Is GI Robot, and there's another guy on there that looks like Geiger, and GI Robot reminds me a lot of Junkyard Joe.
Yeah, he does. He totally does. And is it Dr. Phosphorus?
Yeah. Dr. Phosphorus is the one that reminds me so much of Geiger.
And it's like I know some of the voice actors too. That's Alan
Tudyk.
Yeah, Tudyk.
Sean Gunn is one of the voices.
He should be for Weasel, I think.
Yeah, he's somebody else too. He's like 2 people. But yeah, Alan Tudyk is Dr. Phosphorus, and then Sean Gunn is the Weasel and GI Robot, I think.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time picking my favorite like comic book thing from this past year. I'm looking at a list right now, and the 3 that I'm stuck between are X-Men 97, Invincible, and Madam Web. I'm kidding. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. But yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine, like you said, from the beginning, where he's sitting there talking to Wolverine's skeleton and then uses it to beat up TVA agents.
Oh my God, that was the best opening sequence.
Extremely stupid, gratuitous, and perfectly sets the tone for what that movie was going to be. And I had no issues with that. I do think that there is, when it's set out to be what it was going to be, which was essentially like fan service, the movie, that it does set a limit to like how good of a film that it can be. But I thought that it did the best that I thought it was the best version of itself, if that makes sense. X-Men 97 was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like there are, and I don't really know much about the X-Men. Like I know what the movies that came out when I was a kid told me. But further than that, like not a ton. But I really, really liked it. And I've gone back to start watching the old X-Men cartoon, and it's not as smooth, but it's still really, really good. And then Invincible is just, it's just great. Like, I don't know what I could say about Invincible that, isn't on a million internet forums everywhere. Invincible's great. so yeah, I'm having a hard time picking between them. I think that if I were to, I think I would pick X-Men 97. I think
a lot of people do, because it's like it was almost has that nod to the original, but it's created for us now that grew up with it, you know?
Yeah,
so
well, like
Hey,
more adult.
I
is.
didn't watch the series, and it made perfect sense to me as like a starting off point, you know?
So
Mhm.
I like that you said that, because my son is 10, and well, he was 9 when we watched it this year, and he didn't know anything about the X-Men because he hadn't seen the movies. That was the first thing he had ever watched. And every week he's like, oh, he would tell me on the day, like we would, that morning he'd be like, hey, we got a new X-Men to watch today. So we watched that as a family, which made us want to go back. We watched some of the old cartoon. We did fall off of it because it's forever. I mean, there's so many seasons of that. But we went back and watched the original couple of, the first X and X2.
You know what's going on in my head right now, being an X-Men fan? Join us.
But it was, I mean,
X-Men is a monolith. I can't do it.
it was good. That was so unexpectedly good is what I liked the most about it. I don't feel like that 90s throwback stuff should always work. And it really did. It really did.
It really gave attention to characters that weren't really getting much attention nowadays. Like Gambit. Gambit blew up in that show, and now he's like so hot. He hasn't been hot in 20 years.
Damn, all share.
I mean, like going back to Deadpool Wolverine, I mean, fan service. We got Gambit. We got Elektra again. We got freaking Wesley Snipes again as Blade. God. He can still do it.
It was so good.
So,
he just needs to make sure that he actually submits his 1099 this time.
Right.
But,
that tax bill is very real, and you need to pay that.
He's going to be living in the same bush that MC Hammer's living in.
Oh.
Well, what about collecting goals? Anybody got any collecting goals 2025? Anything you want to finish up, or anything big book you want to pick up? Or
I had a lot of goals this year. Oh man, look at it. He's got the Tetris looking chart there.
Mine is one goal. I'll be super quick. This is all of Captain America Volume 1 and Tales of Suspense 58 to 99. I only have from Volume 1 64 issues left to go out of 367, because it's 354 regular issues and then 13 annuals. I have 64 left to go. Come hell or high water, I am completing that this year. Because then the voices might stop. And then I might be able to look at some other stuff. But until that is a solid black piece of paper, I'm not going to be able to have a night of true restful sleep.
What about you, Eric?
Well, with mine, I had a lot of goals last year because I started my channel last October. So I've now had a full year of doing this stuff, and it's kind of what got me on here is these goals. And one of them, getting back into comics, was going after Claremont's X-Men. Well, I did that, but at that point, it's like I picked up issues here and there, and I was like, well, I kind of want to finish the run too. And I am pretty close. I have under 40 issues of the full 544 issues run it, I think it is. Most of them are under 40 that I need. So yeah, I mean, last year I got some big ones. This one was my oldest one till like a week ago. I splurged and got number 7, which is first Cerebro in this issue. And I think that's second Blob too. So it's like, I've been pretty bad the last couple months with my X-Men goal. Mainly because the ones I have left, they're big books, and I'm picky. If I'm going to spend a lot of money on these old X-Men books from the early 60s, I'm being picky about condition. I don't want Bobby's name on it, stuff like that, because it's a lot of money. So it's taken me a while to get them, but I kind of want to refocus and like, okay, yeah, I do want to finish getting like Werewolf by Night and stuff like that, but I want to refocus a little bit more on X-Men. And it's hard because I just don't see them enough, locally. So it's one of those, I'm going to have to look for them a little harder when I go to bigger shows. And because I don't want to buy them online, I'd rather find them in the wild.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my big goal, is to focus a little more on X-Men. So.
But you, Nate?
I wrote down, I got 3 goals for next year. First one is to do a little bit of downsizing. I have a lot of books. I'm not going to reread them. And if I'm not going to reread them, I don't want to keep them. I want to find a better home for them. So, I don't know how much that is, because there's a lot of books that I like. I want to focus. I've got several runs that I'm very close to completing. So I want to focus in on those, but I'm with you, Eric. Like, I just want to do a better job of, there's a quarterly show that I go to, and I just want to go with my list, ready to go and like hunt for some of those, because I'm easily distracted.
Yeah.
But easily distracted goes with my third goal, which is to just continue to have fun, because I mean, I love finding weird shit, and like, you guys like appreciate it the same way I do. Like, when I find something weird and I can send a picture to Hagen or anybody and say, look at this damn thing.
Yeah.
So even though I do want to focus more, like, I don't want that to stop me from coloring outside the lines sometimes when I find something really weird. Because that is just like that is what tickles me about this more than almost anything, is like, I love the stories that I read, but I love to find things that I didn't know were there to appreciate or to laugh at.
Don't let the downsizing let you don't let it make you stop buying books that make you say, I love this, why does it exist?
Right. Exactly.
Those are important.
I think those are 2 separate things, though. I think downsizing is like, hey, I don't care about Brian Michael Bendis's, Avengers run. I'm going to let that go. I don't care about, I have an entire long box of Ultimate Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and Ultimate X-Men, like the first runs of those, those were books that I cared about at one time, but it's like, I will never go back and reread those. So I need to find a new home for those. But yeah, when I came across a book that I'm going to show off in a video soonish, that has to do with a family of Amish style centaurs who also live in a community of regular humans.
Oh, hey, Ricky.
And it's weird. So, so like, I don't want to not pick up books like that. Just because I'm running out of room in here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to finish my Tales from the Crypt run. I got 20 books left, so that is the goal for next year.
That's a very good, doable goal. I mean,
yeah, just 20 books, and
I don't
really I want Bobby's name on my books. I don't like the real nice ones. For some reason, horror books to me seems like they need to have like rat chewed out of the side of them. Beat up. I like a well-loved book, but I like one. It's got to be complete and it's got to present well.
Yeah. But I like books that look like they've lived a good life.
And I like date stamps, and I like names on them. I like history and all that. But I mean, I don't want one that's abused or torn apart. But I like one that's. I don't mind tape on it. It just shows somebody loved it and try to hold it together. And just...
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And last thing I got for y'all, I thought we'd be on here in an hour. We're at an hour and 42 minutes. I knew
that was never going to happen.
Yeah. It was a long year.
Yeah. Well, I knew with the first question when it was DC and we was talking about it for 20-something minutes. I said, we're not going to make an hour. But any favorite pickups, anything y'all want to show?
I have tons of favorite pickups.
Yeah, I do too.
But I'm going to stick with just one. One I didn't think I'd get is my Uncanny 130. First appearance of Dazzler. It is a total crappy copy. It's in very rough shape, but it looks good. And I got it for $20 in a sea of $150 plus copies. So this is my pickup of the year because I didn't think I'd get it. I love her.
Go ahead, Hagen.
I'm going to show 2.
Okay.
This sort of goes along with collecting goals as well. One of my collecting goals or comic book goals or human goals. Let's go with that. Human goals is to meet more of the people that I do this with in real life and to like actually press flesh with them. And maybe drink a beer or something like that. That would be really cool. But I'm going to Heroes Con. That's going to be my big thing next year, and I hope that like I can see a bunch of people there. I've heard that some people are going to be there, but one of my favorite pickups, if you can call it that, this year is this. This is generic comic book number 1, and I had it sent with Brandon from Mon Comics to Terrificon, and I got a bunch of people. I asked them to sign it. So I've got Ryan the Colossus Collector on here, JP, Up North Comics, Bruce Rohan, Troy, Awesome Toy Box with Troy, Brandon from Mon Comics, Lunch Money Comics is on here, and Ricky drew a penis on it in his name. That's probably the only comic book that has a penis drawn by Ricky from All Sorts of Words on it. So far. Yeah. If I see him again, I'm going to make him do another one like somewhere. But I love that book so much. I talk about Housefire books a lot. That book, yeah, I'll say it. That book to me makes it over this one. Not to say that I don't absolutely love this book, but that means something to me.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed getting to do this and meet you guys and meet all the different people that I've gotten to meet. I haven't been doing this a long time, and life has sort of gotten in the way of putting out my own stuff, but I've been accentuating that with getting to do stuff like this with you guys. So yeah, that's a really important book to me. The biggest pickup this year by far, by several orders of magnitude, is this is Avengers number 4, the first Silver Age appearance of Steve Rogers, Captain America. I've wanted this book forever. Never ever thought that I was going to own it, and found a great deal at Heroes Con. And I got Jeff from Comic Spa to work on it. It is a well-loved book. It doesn't have Bobby's name written on it, but it is a very well-loved book. It lived in a shoebox, it seems, for a while. And even out of the factory, you can see on the back, the staples are on the back of the book.
Oh, man.
And so like the cover has like a weird wrap on it. And Jeff said that like, that's just something that can't come out. I don't give a damn about any of that. Like, it looks great, right?
Right.
That's it. All of it's there. All of it's there. The cover's on, the centerfold's on. That's it. Super happy with it. Never thought I'd get to own it, and now I get to say that I do. But yeah, those are my 2 biggest pickups of this year.
What about you, Eric?
I had a hard one with this one, so of course I have a stack. I'll run through it fast. A lot of this stack is nostalgia. Some of these were goals that I set out like in the beginning of the year that I wanted to complete. So I'll just jump into it. One of the most recent one, this big one, I am a huge Hanna-Barbera fan, so I got Space Ghost's first appearance. Not the tippy-top greatest looking thing. I mean, actually, when I took this out to read it, it kind of had that basement dank smell to it, but I don't care. I loved it. I could see Space Ghost on those pages for the first time. Yeah. Oh, I love that smell too. Here's one I've been chasing for a while, and it's this one. Ever since I heard about this issue where Magneto was controlling Thor's hammer, I'm like, oh, I need to find that. And this one, so it's number 109 of Journey into Mystery with Thor. It's classic Stan Lee writing. Some of the dialogue in this is just absolutely hilarious. Here's what this was a goal. Ghost Rider number 1. This I got a couple months ago, completed the original run for me. So it was one of those. I wasn't a fan of the original Ghost Rider. I was a Danny Ketch guy. One of the issues early on kind of caught my the bug for how hilarious it was. And after that, it was off to the races. So this was the last one, of course, number 1, the one that you need to finish the run. And then Keeping Up with the Monsters. Dope. You'll like this one. Nice. Tomb of Dracula number 1. I'm still working on this series. So that's one of my small goals is to finish the run. I think I need 9 for the series, and they're all fillers. I have all the big books already. This one, same thing. I think I'm missing just a couple. This one, it took me a while to find a nice copy of this one. And then this one I just featured not too long ago on Nate's show.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer. And this is number 3. Yeah, number 3. First appearance of Mephisto. I love this cover. The colors just pop. I mean, I used to be a big Silver Surfer fan in the 90s with that big series he had. And since then, I've gone back and looked at some of the original stuff that Buscema did. This one was a big one for me, being a Conan fan and a Man-Thing fan. So to find this one, and for what I found it was raw. It wasn't super expensive. I was like all over it. I was surprised I found it at a flea market. The guy had it at a flea market. He cut me a good deal on it. My boy, this one, I've been hunting this one forever. And finally I found one, and I didn't care how much it cost. I was like, I want it in the collection. It was one of the last ones I needed for all his volumes. And then finally, my biggest one, and this was probably my number one goal for the year, I got my Grail book.
Wow.
181. I got this at my local store. It was the store owner's dad who bought it back in, I think, 06. So this was like early grading of CGC. No shenanigans. I knew what I was getting. So I was happy with the price, fair price. Because I know, with stuff that was going on the last year with this book and some other books, I was worried. The fact that it was, slabbed 20 years ago, almost 20. I knew none of that stuff was going on then, so right. I knew what I was getting. So I was happy to pay, because I'm not a slab guy, but this caliber of book, I was okay with doing it. So it's an investment is how I look at it.
Congratulations on the second appearance of Wolverine.
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
Yeah. I finished that Tomb of Dracula run, the Ghost Rider run, and the Frankenstein run. So them 3 are down. And then I like weird shit. This is from 1948.
I love that statement. I like weird shit.
I like weird shit.
I got this Surprise Comics 48 where the gun tower is just shooting everybody down. You see they're all dead. But this is from 1948. I got that one. Here's 1944. Crime Does Not Pay.
Man.
Wow.
A bunch of people.
I love when the female characters have their red dress. I know it's such an iconic thing, but it just makes them pop.
Red dress in distress. And then here is one I got. This is 1944. This has a bunch of crazy C and D list characters. Tell me if you ever heard any of these. First, we got Wonder Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we got the Magnet.
Nope. Then
we got King of Futura. And then we got my favorite, Zudu the Jungle Boy. This is Mystery Comics number 4, and it's got the Klan on here. I don't know if you can see.
Man.
Wow.
That's just a piece of history right there. You got a book like that with the Klan on it.
And this is a Schomburg cover, so a lot of people like Schomburg.
Yeah. But look at that typeface, and man.
But right there is Zudu the Jungle Boy. So this is wow. One day we might get a Zudu movie. Who knows?
I think he's getting a Disney Plus series.
And then I got my Grail this year in January. So this is the last time you ever have to see this thing out again.
So cool.
But nice. That one I saved up for all of 2023. So I was happy to get that. But next year I don't want to spend hardly any money. I just want to get Tales from the Crypt, and that should be. I've completed just about every run I want to complete. So. I finished, like I said, Tomb of Dracula this year, Ghost Rider this year, Punisher Volume 1's done, Witch and Hour, I've got all those.
Oh, that's a good series. I'm working on that one.
I finished all those. Daredevil Volume 1 through 100. I've got Spider-Man 1 through 100. So yeah, I'm there ain't much I really want left. So
yeah, just go ahead and die. You're done.
I mean, did you guys find anything that were surprising to you? Like books or series that you didn't know existed that you had to have? I mean, I found a couple that I thought were interesting.
Joey and the Magic T-shirt.
Yeah, you found that.
The Ferret.
I got one right here. Let me get it for you. See if y'all have ever seen anything this weird. Hold on.
The sensation that's sweeping the nation. The Ferret. Yeah. I don't know, Nate. You and I have found a bunch of weird stuff and then immediately shown it to one another. So
Right.
Hey, K-pop.
I mean, I've been in, unironically, I am into Warlord and Amethyst
you hooked
Princess
up
of Gym World. I mean, those
you hooked me on that one.
I know,
You
and it's not.
like,
it's a fun read. I hope you enjoy it.
Bins all day.
I showed y'all the snowman and the skeleton, and I showed y'all.
You did.
I showed y'all the first appearance of Big Baby.
I love Big Baby. That's Charles Burns. I love Charles Burns.
You want to see something weird I picked up this year? Have any of you read Danny and the Demon Cycle?
Danny and the Demon Cycle. Oh my god. That's awesome. Look at the face on the cycle. Oh my god.
His hands are made to the cycle. He can't get off the cycle.
Wow.
Once you sit on the Demon Cycle, you're stuck. So the Demon Cycle is on the railroad tracks, and he's about to die because the Demon Cycle has control of Danny. So,
oh my god,
I mean, it's going on the list right now.
Yeah, that's got to go on the list.
I'm going to eBay right now.
Danny and the Demon Cycle.
I'm gonna beat you there, you bitch.
I have eBay windows open from the last time still.
Anybody that sits on the Demon Cycle, it's kind of like Ghost Rider. You're just cursed. You're stuck on the Demon Cycle.
That is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
No matches found.
That is weird. You won the weird title tonight. So some of the ones that I found that I didn't know existed, I got 2 here. And these kind of go to my love of Hanna-Barbera. Nostalgia, I guess, is what takes over here. This one, I found this at Half Price Books. Future Quest. I did not know this was a thing. And when I discovered it, I was all over it like flies on shit. And I need one more for this series. I need the last issue. And I'm so OCD. I can't read it till I have them all. I'm dying to read this. I flipped through it a couple times, but I love that they got all the Hanna-Barbera world heroes, Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Herculoids. I mean, they're all in this series that I just was in love with this. Look at a bandit running with the Herculoid characters there. And, that Frankenstein monster guy. And yeah, I love this series that they combined everybody. I think Birdman's in this, everybody. So I'm in love with that series. And then the other one that I just found out about a month ago, and I'm all over this one, like flies on shit. Scooby Apocalypse. Oh my god. And I found out that there's 30 some issues of this mashup of Scooby and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and zombies, and I'm like, oh my god, I need this so bad. And I can't find this series. I only have a couple issues, and I love that the storyline is it's not cartoony. It's very realistic. I mean, and it's hardcore. Look at Scooby's chewing on a zombie limb there.
It's a hard one to find, and from what I've heard from other people I know that were chasing it, it's expensive.
Yeah, I looked on like mycomicshop.com, and I think the average issue price is like $10 an issue. I'm like, holy cow. So that one might take a while.
That's how it is being Futurama and Simpsons issues I pick up when I can, but average price on those is, Futurama can be $20 an issue.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Well, I looked on my comic shop and Danny and the Demon Cycle sold out. So.
Yeah, I put it on my want list. Don't worry.
Yeah, I did too. And I have an eBay search going and a Mercari search going, and I did that all while on camera. So,
wow,
we are a special kind of whore on this.
We're just enablers. We just enable each other, is what it is.
Yeah. We're all the exact right complementary blend of stupid, and it works pretty well.
Yeah, my wife's like, "Why do you want that?" I'm like,
I know.
Of course, why wouldn't I want it? Yeah, I've stopped trying to justify, bringing home Joey and the Magic T-shirt to my wife. It's just,
well, I got that when I got this one. She's like, "What?
You're a White Snake?"
Like I got to with it, man.
So, but it's been good having all you guys on here. It's been a great year, and one of my favorite things, without sounding too cheesy, was I found all you this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think the first person I found, or maybe they found me, was Hagen's channel. I think that was the very first channel I found, and somehow I don't know how I found Nate or Nate found me or whatever, but then we was on the show with Eric, and it just all fit together. So
yeah, I don't think I knew that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think did. You do a video in the shower?
I sure did.
Sure did.
That was the very first one I think I've seen.
It was my flea market video with Bone Claws Comics.
Oh my God, that's right.
I don't know why. If I could talk about that for just a second, I don't know why, but that's an idea that got stuck in my head. I was like, it would be really funny to just do like a bad joke played like a drama movie. And I was thinking like being in the shower would be good. I could pipe in audio, but it would be funnier to do it for real. And it would be funniest if I was really uncomfortable. So I actually got out of like the gym shorts that I was wearing and I put on jeans. I put on jeans and like a t-shirt and an undershirt. And I was like, this is going to suck, but it's going to make it funnier. And so, yeah, I'm glad that's the first thing that you saw that I did.
Well, the humor hit me. And then I started watching your videos. I was like, well, he actually reads comics. He's actually knows his shit. And that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with, is people that actually read comics and know stuff. There's so many channels, some of them are like stock markets, and I don't care about stock market channels and speculation. I just want to read books and enjoy what I like,
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you're buying books because this is hot or that's hot, or you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, 6 months from now, you're not going to like anything in your collection because it's just going to be stuff that you bought because somebody else had it, So, but. Like I said, I'm glad I found all you, and
agreed.
Been a good year. So,
all right,
2025.
Here's to the next one, boys.
Yeah.
So, but that is all for now. Hope you've enjoyed the last 2 hours. Well, we'll see you again next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.